Alright, so this next one is a bit of a doozy, unless you take the easy way out, and I don't blame you for taking the easy way out, although it's actually very short. As I was saying to another student, or one of our students here, when I was working through some of these problems with him, a lot of these problems, it feels discouraging to do them. Why? Because once you see the answer, you're like, oh, how could it be anything but this answer? Right? Or why couldn't I see that answer? And that's just the way a lot of these problems work. Unfortunately, especially a lot of intro to computing programs. You see a problem and you're like, there is no other possible solution than what we have. And you just don't know how you had not gotten there. That's just part of the process of learning, so don't beat yourself up about it. So nth digit. Write a function called nthDigit, which takes two ints and a number, returns the nth highest order. In other words, returns the digit from the left, as opposed to the other way around. So we'll read this paragraph in a bit. I'm just going to go over the examples here. 0 doesn't give us 3 this time, it gives us 1. 1 gives us 2, 2 gives us 3. Now you know why I was going A, B, C, D, E in all of my other examples. 3 gives, well, out of bounds. 4, and 0 gives us 0. 3 gives us, all right. So it gives us 0, 1, 2, 3, 3 gives us 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're here for 0, 1, 2, 3. And that gives us 2. Excellent. Okay. So, yep, and again, that's what we were seeing here. If it goes out of bounds, we just simply get 0 for it going beyond the end. Now, my advice here was not super helpful, I think, honestly, but it is the way to do it. You can convert the entire problem. And this one is more of a, you should try and experiment and see, okay? You can do it in one line if it calls nthDigit back. So we'll see that in a bit, but first let's go with the easy way, right? We're going to do the easy way before we do the hard way. So what was the easy way, right? So if I'm looking for the nth digit, right? Public, static, int, nth, digit, int n, int num. Okay. What we're going to do over here is we are going to say, okay, I would like to put in, let's convert this to a string. Why? Is this the easy way, converting it to a string? Let me not be a hypocrite and plug that. Why? Well, if I've got the same A, B, C, D, E, F, A, B, C, okay, I swear I went to kindergarten, okay, here, right, if I want to get the 0th, the very first digit, or digit 0, I should say, that's the same as getting the digit at index 0. Here, if I want to get the first digit, or the digit here, if I want to get B, that's the digit, that's n is equal to 1, which is the same as index 1. So we could just simply convert it to a string and get the character at that index, convert the character into a string, and then convert the string into an integer. It's a bit of a lopsided way, I know, but it's actually fairly doable in one line. Well, let's not, okay? So let's go ahead and do string text is equal to, we convert the number into a string by doing string concatenation. Remember, anything that gets concatenated with a string automatically just turns into a string. Java's nice like that. Okay, now I want to get car, C, I want to get the character, right? You can't get a string like that. I mean, you can get a single character as a string, but it would involve the substring operation, not as natural here, and I want to keep it as natural as possible. So if we want to get the nth digit, so we would just simply say text dot car at n, right? And this gives us a character, which is different than a string, right? A character is more of a, Python doesn't even have characters. It treats it kind of as a legacy thing. Instead, everything is just strings. If I wanted to skip this step and go directly to strings, I would use substring instead. But that requires more than one argument to do it properly. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to get this character, then I'm going to return this character turned into a string. I know, so silly. And then what am I going to do with the character turned into a string? Well, it needs to be an int. So in that case, I'm going to do integer.parseInt, which is the way you convert any given string into a integer. Okay, and this works almost completely perfectly, believe it or not. Right? 0 gives me 1. If I ask for 5, that's going to give me the 6th digit. Right? Again, this is why I use ABC, because 5 gives me 6. That sounds a bit confusing. Right? And if I go for the 10,000th digit, 10,000th, right? It's going to give me error. Error. Why? Why did it give me an error? Because I'm trying to go out of bounds there. So here, so the last thing I'd have to do here to make sure it doesn't go out of bounds is to simply say beforehand, if n is greater than num dot, here I would actually want to do it here if I'm just doing strings. If n is greater than text dot length, or greater than or equal to text dot length, return -1. No, -1, 0, right? So here, going by, and having the return statement here, right? Whenever you hit the return inside a function, it stops the function. The function says, "Oh, my job is done." Okay, return 0, but stop it there. Okay, it's not messy at all, in my opinion, but it is a bit long and it involves having to do all these conversions, which is rather silly. Now let's go ahead and take a look at my hint. All right, and I'm going to just kind of do a bit of metagaming logic here, which allows us to kind of fall in on the logic and kind of fall accidentally into the answer here. All right, if nth digit calls nth digit back and count digits, you can do the entire method in one line. When I say you can do the entire method in one line, that means just simply having a return statement. Okay? So what I'd have to do is I'd have to return if nth digit calls nth digit back. In other words, calls the previous function we wrote. You can have a function calling another function. In fact, so that's the entire point of the exercise. Really? You can do that? We've been doing it the entire time. We've had function, we've had main call system.out.println, that's a function, a method, and that called nth digit. Okay? So nth digit back, right, we can call that, and it's going to call count digits as well, somewhere. So nth digit back. So now why is this giving us an error? Right? Because nth digit back requires 2 arguments. It requires the nth digit and the number. Now, it doesn't matter if it's nth digit or nth digit back. It doesn't matter which way. The number isn't going to change between them. So, we should put num here. Right? This isn't going to change, right? We're still operating on the same number. Right? So, the question becomes, okay, I can just simply do nth digit by somehow figuring out a magical thing to put inside this blank. Okay, I don't know about you, but I find knowing that is very appealing, because that means if I can just find this one thing, it's suddenly going to click into place and work. Right? Now, obviously, it can't just be a single thing, right? Right? It can't be 0, because that'd give me the same number again and again, no matter. So it'd give me the same, it would always give me the same digit. It'd give me like the 0th, it'd give me, in this case, it'd give me 5, just putting in 0 there. It can't be just a number. I can't have just a literal there. Okay? So this value has to vary somehow. Right? N and n. Well, if I put in n here, it's not going to work, right? Or it's not going to work properly, because if I want the, let's go with 0, right? If I want to get, apparently my nums lock is off. Oh, now it's off. There we go. So if I want to get this value, the very first value, I'd say 0. And if I throw this in and just simply say nth digit back, well, that's just going to give me this. See, because nth digit back 0 is this value. Okay, so maybe not. Wait, let's go back to the problem. What did it say? It said, oh, and I need to call counts digits. So counts digit is kind of our key here. Or count digits. Okay. So, count digits of what? Well, there's only one thing to count, the number. Count the digits of this number. Now, again, we can't really, we need something else here, because again, it doesn't matter what n is right here. We're always going to get the same value again and again. Okay? We're going to get the same value again and again no matter what. So, this needs to vary somehow. And the key is got to vary by n. So let's go ahead and take a look at this number. So we've got nth digit over here. This is num. And let's go ahead and just type this out over here. Nth digit back. Nth digit back. And so if you tried to do this one, by the way, by converting it into a string, this is the problem that you ran into. So, which is that, how do you get from this value, from an index into this digit back format? All right. So, let's think about this. If I feed in number, right, and I feed in 0 and the number, I want that to turn into 5 and the number. If I feed in 1, I want this to turn into 4 and the number. And if I feed this 2 in, I want it to feed into nth digit. If I feed 2 into nth digit back, and I feed 2 in the number into nth digit back. Andrew, you're speaking too quickly. If I feed 2 and this number into nth digit, I want to take that and feed that into nth digits back using 3 and the number. So 2 should become to 3, 3 should go to 2, 4 should go to 1, 5 should go to 0, and 0 should go to 5. Okay. So there is this, again, and this may seem like impossible, but we notice, this is ascending by ones, this is descending by ones. This actually, and they're the same numbers, so this actually is fairly doable. It's just a matter of figuring out the sequence. And it's one line, so it can't be that complicated. So what it is though, we need it, and there's one other key here, right? How long is this? How many digits is this long? This is 6 digits long. We know that from count digits. So it should be, we starting, and it says use counts digits. So we're starting from 6, and we should be subtracting something. Because, I mean, if we add something here, it's not really going to help us, right? There's got to be subtraction. Certainly not going to be multiplication or division. It's got to be subtraction. So let's think about it. 6 digits minus, so if I want to, so let's say I feed in 0 and the number, right? I want to get the first digit. To get that, I would want to do 6 minus 5. Or sorry, I'd want to do 6 minus 1 to get 5. So I could get the same thing over here, right? 0 is equivalent to 5 in nth digit back, right? So we're starting with 6. Why? Because the problem gave us a hint to do that. So that would be 6 minus 1. To get this one, If we feed in 1, that would be 6 minus 2. If we feed in 2, we do 6 minus 3. If we do 3, we do 6 minus 4. If we do 4, we do 6 minus 5. So what was that? 6 minus 1, 6 minus 2, 6 minus 3, 6 minus 4, 6 minus 5. Oh, it's 6 minus, so it keeps going up. So let's experiment. 6 minus n. Now this isn't the correct answer. It's very close, right? But let's play around with it. Sometimes you just need to play around to find the answer. And why am I approaching it like this? Because I want you to see that it's okay to play around, right? If it's more, and that's more important right now rather than going through the mathematics of it, right? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So count digits minus n, right? So if I want to get 1, 6, so 0 gave me 0, 1 gives me 1, 2 gives me 2. Let's make sure that it is, right? Let's just make sure we're not, right? Let's just go ahead and make sure we're not like just simply feeding back in, right? Always double check your assumptions. So 2 gives me this value. So I want 2 to give me this value, right? And I want 1 to give me this value. So again, and as you saw this over here, right? If we give it 0, it should be 6 minus 1. So if we give it 0, it's 0. We're subtracting an additional 1. 6 minus 2, 6 minus 3 to get here, right? So n minus n, and either minus 1 over here to get an additional 1, or 1 minus n, or you're like, well, I need to subtract an additional 1. Okay. And again, you can kind of just find this out by experimenting, and that gets us the correct answer here. And we kind of just figured that out by experimenting with this and kind of just playing around with these number stuff. You don't really need to play around to get and guess to get the other ones, but it's just really cool to see, oh, I can just translate this problem, right? I just simply take n to get the nth digit back. I just simply take how long it is, right, and subtract, because by subtracting, I'm going from the other direction, or sorry, from starting from here, I'm able to, by starting with this value, 5, which is length minus 1, I can go ahead and just simply subtract the nth digit then. I can subtract what the n is here to get there. Alright, so here I started with 5, 5 minus 0, 4 minus 1, 5 minus 1, 5 minus 2, 5 minus 3, 5 minus 4. So there's a lot of ways to kind of just logic yourself into the answer, but I like that way, just showing you can kind of, you don't really have to use too much logic, you can kind of guess your way there.